Now, I made a video yesterday talking about how the CEO of Telegram was arrested in France. And I was very concerned of the fact that governments are moving towards removing any type of privacy that people have. If you can store something in a place where the government can't have access to it, that is bad and it needs to be legislated against. In other words, is the same mentality that the Soviets used to have, or that Nazi Germany or Benito Mussolini Italy used to have, which is that we should wiretap every person's phone. We should open every person's letter. We should look into every single package because someone out there may be doing a crime, and the only way to be sure is if the government has the ability to check. But it's a one-way street. The citizens cannot check on the government. The government is the only entity that is allowed to have secrets. So for instance, when you have a case like Snowden, or when you have a case like a content creator or a blogger that's looking into the government too much, or looking into the politicians that are in power too much, well, that is definitely a problem. So, the saying that if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear, only goes one way. It's only for the citizens. The government apparently has a lot to fear. So anyway, that was my point. My point was that the push is to destroy any type of concept of internet anonymity, that if people actually do want to talk with each other without being monitored, the best way to do it is to use the classic systems, which is to write letters, which is to use the phone, because there are actually laws in many countries that are protecting the citizens from having the government looking into these things. Like in the United States, you have wiretapping laws, you have laws that protect the secret of correspondence, and the only way for the government to actually open someone's letter would be to get a court order, and they would need to have reasonable suspicion for that person. Now, there have been a lot of people that responded to me with big brain takes saying, "Oh, V, so you want to protect criminals, huh? Because you love money laundering, V. This is what it's all about. You just love money laundering. You love people that are spreading illegal pictures on the internet." Okay, look here, you bigot. This actually happened yesterday. So, apparently the CEO of a social media app called Gab posted the fact that a member of his social media said something disrespectful towards a German politician. I believe he called her fat or something. I don't speak German, so I don't know. But anyway, he insulted the politician, right? So think about the worst insult that you can possibly imagine. Let's assume that this person went beyond the pale. He made the worst possible joke that you can think of. So now the German authorities want this man. Now he is wanted in Germany for making a joke, or for being offensive. Now, here's the interesting part. According to German law, this is illegal. So it's understandable. He broke the law. He lives in that country. But from an optics perspective, from a public opinion, for people that aren't in Germany, how would you react if this thing happened in Russia? How would you react if a person would insult Vladimir Putin and he would say something disparaging towards Vlad? And the response would be for the Russian authorities to arrest him, or to try to find him, or persecute him. But anyway, how would we react to that? And the answer is, we would react well, I'm really glad I'm not in Russia. I mean, Russia definitely doesn't seem like a free society. Arresting people for opinions, for jokes, for being cheeky little shits online. Arresting people for being assholes. Wow, what a society. I'm so glad that I'm not in Russia, right? This is what people would say. What would they say if this happened in China? Someone calls Chairman Z Winnie the Pooh, and they get arrested. They get in trouble with the cops. What do people say? It's what an authoritarian state. That is beyond the pale. Do they not respect human rights over there? Do they not have free speech? Free speech is a human right codified by the United Nations. Do they not follow that? Right? This is what people would say, and even the media in Western societies would say when it's happening in other places. But for some reason, for some mysterious reason, when it's happening in Germany, when it's happening in the United Kingdom, oh no, they're just progressive nations, they're just forward thinking. They just have governments that are helping society move forward. And they get a pass. Because if you don't know, in UK, there's more people arrested for free speech online than there are in Russia. And recently, I have seen people arrested for tweeting emojis. So we're at that level, right? And this is the situation where most governments are trying to go towards. Like, they're trying to go to that. Be honest. Be honest. When was the last time you heard the words freedom, liberty being used in a mainstream publication? Because when I grew up, you couldn't mention America without using the word freedom. You couldn't mention a Western government without talking about liberty, right? Because that's what differentiates us from China. That's what differentiates us from the Soviet Union or from the Nazis. It's like, because we have freedom here. We have liberty. This is what a lot of people that fought in communist revolution died for. It's to show, like, no, we actually have freedoms. But now I haven't seen that word freedom used at all. Like, there used to be a time when they used the word tolerance a lot. That one disappeared as well. They used the word equality a lot. That one has disappeared as well. Now it's democracy. Like, I see the word democracy being used over and over again. They don't really articulate what they mean by this, but I haven't seen the word freedom. I haven't seen the word liberty. Even the word tolerance is gone. So, what exactly does the government want from using your social media? Well, what I found interesting about this is the amount of data that you willingly give whenever you make a social media account. So the government basically wants your account ID, right? Like, this is obviously the way they identify the person that committed a crime. Then they want to know the IP address of the person. Then they want to know if the account has been banned or not, right? And this is where it gets interesting. This is the amount of information you give to Facebook. This is the amount of information you give to any single social media account. Your full name, your date of birth, your display name, the current one, and the historical data. Your email addresses, your usernames, your phone numbers, your postal address and billing address, if you provide it, your payment method, means of payment and related data, current and historical, identification and proof of address, as well as the copies of identity documents if available, and finally the account type, like if you're a power user or not, right? So like all this information you are willingly giving away whenever you create an account on the internet. When it asks you for like a two-step authentication system, or when it asks you for ID in order to prove who you are, like all of this information, once you have given it, it's gone. Like it's in the cloud. And then they get to have access for it. So now you understand why countries like Britain are pushing, oh, you want to see pornography? You need to show a passport. You need to show ID in order to be able to access it. It's to normalize the concept. It's to make it obvious for people, oh, you're using the internet. Well, there's no problem in giving away your phone, right? It's for your convenience. It's for your safety. Like if someone hacks your account, you got your phone. And then when you finally end up violating some bizarre law, it's like, oh, you insulted the politician. You said something nasty about a policy that was passed. Well, now the government can look in on you. And as you can see, in order not to jeopardize the ongoing investigation with the connection of this operation, the user shall only be informed after 2027. Unless further communication is made by the Bundeskriminalamt on this matter. So this is like the federal German police, right? Like I assume that crime in Germany must be at an all-time historic law that they actually divert resources in order to go after someone that insulted the politician on a very obscure social media network. Now, I looked to see if such a case has happened before in German jurisprudence. And the answer is yes. Like, as we can see here, a businessman was also cleared in mocking politician. So, like, they actually sent him to trial, and they wasted taxpayer money in order to do the investigation and all of this. And then it turns out that the guy didn't do anything, but imagine the amount of stress he had to go through, simply because he had the political opinion. Like, we need to stop pretending that politics are just calm and level-headed, and everyone is rational. Like, no, obviously, politics are filled with pathos, like, people get heated up, sometimes people do say insults when talking about politicians that have the power to lower their lifestyle and living conditions, right? Like, a politician can go vote and your taxes go up, or your politician can decide that, oh, we're going to print more money, and now your lifestyle goes down. or in the case of Germany, if you have certain issues that the only one representing those issues happen to be from the AFD, like no one else wants to talk about your grievances, no one else cares about your plight, like you're still a German citizen, right? But you're having like these opinions, and the only person that's willing to talk about them happen to be from the AFD. You have other politicians that say, no, the guy that represents you should be outlawed. Like, you should not get any representation. And people are expected to just stay calm, to just like, like poker face. I mean, on one hand, the politician doesn't insult you, that's true. But on the other hand, they can do things that actually lower your living conditions. They lower your standard of living. And when you insult them, you're not lowering their standard of living. You're not doing anything, right? But again, Germany thinks that it's illegal. Like, this doesn't come under free speech. Like, just talking about the body weight of a politician is enough to commit a criminal offense. And we are moving towards a place where, yeah, like social media should give open access to the governments if possible. Not that if they come in with a court order, so that, like they think like this person has done something wrong, so we're going to come up with a court order. No. They should have access to constantly surveil people, even who aren't under an investigation, even that do not have any reason to be surveilled, so that whenever they find someone that's problematic, they can crack down on them using these type of interesting legislation that, again, if you were to see them in Russia, or if you were to see them in China, they would be up for criticism. There would be absolutely no debate that what those countries are doing is wrong. But when you see them in the West, I mean, well, if you want to live in a civilized society, you need to have a nation of laws, right? And it's also the fact that they're usually applied one-sided. I don't know that much about German politics, but I have seen Scottish politics, where the Scottish Prime Minister was having a very hateful speech that thousands of people found offensive, and no punishment was given. But meanwhile, you have someone else that just tweets a couple of emojis, and immediately the law falls down on them, So, this is why I am for internet privacy. This is why I am for social media being treated as a common carrier. For social media to be treated the same as the postal office. If the government does see a crime, if someone does share illicit material on social media, yes, by all means, get a court order, talk with the owners of the social media, find out who the guy is, take that content down. I am for that. However, the idea that the government should always wiretap everyone's accounts, and they should have access to all the information that people post online, whether there is a court order or not, that is disturbing. And I also believe that, yeah, like there should be the possibility for people to remain anonymous online. Because we are seeing how most politicians are doing business in 2024. I don't know, like, if this is how things always were, if this is like the standard of democracy. But what I notice is that you have a lot of politicians that like to kick the can down the road. So like there's a problem in the country, whether it's the economy, whether it's the standard of living, whatever that is. And the current politicians just don't want to fix it. They will kick it down the road. And the problem just becomes worse and worse and worse to the point where it's obvious to everyone. Now the politicians, instead of like finally tackling with the problem, what they do is they censor people talking about the problem. So the problem becomes the people talking about the issue rather than the issue itself. And they like to do these authoritarian tactics. It's like, oh, well, sure, you didn't, do anything wrong, and you're allowed to talk and express whatever you want, but you insulted the politician, so we gotta make an example out of you, It's kind of like that. Like, I know you're a right-winger, but we're not going to persecute you for being a right-winger. I mean, you have all the rights to be a right-winger, but you're supporting right-wing causes and you're espousing right-wing ideology. So we gotta make an example out of you. Like, basically using censorship as sweeping under the rug rather than addressing the real issues. And yeah, sure, you have a democracy, but you're not letting people talk about politics. Or if they do talk about politics, you're like, yeah, but we don't like the tone that you're using. You're being too inflammatory. You don't have to be insulting. Like I know these are issues that affect your day-to-day life, like when you go grocery shopping, your prices are high, or you're not able to pay for your rent. Like, I understand you're having problems, but still, decorum, and it's like, okay, I mean, that's fine, but why do companies that aren't from these countries and they're situated in the United States or they're situated in other places which view things differently, why should they bow down to that? Because I remember, speaking of Telegram, I remember the West was applauding the CEO of Telegram when they refused to collaborate with the Russian authorities. And everyone was cheering and everyone was like, yeah, no, this is great. But for some reason, when they refused to collaborate with Western authorities, all of a sudden, oh, well, I mean, it's not really okay, because, come on. Come on, it's also interesting, like, why are they arresting the CEO rather than pushing the legal system against the company? Like, if your concern is that the company is not moderating enough, wouldn't it be normal to just, file injunctions and get the law to press down on the company itself rather than the CEO? This is also interesting. But anyway, right, I guess the topic is a little bit more nuanced than people can handle, so... let me know what you think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.